One of my favorite parts about the summer is that you are able to go into nature and pick these wild blackberries right off the tree and eat them. Checking the camera. They're a good source of vitamins, vitamin C. And what you want to do when you're picking them is pick the ones that you can tell that they are ripe and ready to eat. Just be careful if you're wearing something clear color, because they will stain your hands to make it a dark purple or dark red. But keep in mind that other wildlife is also trying to make their way to these blackberries, so you might hear some noise, and it's the birds above trying to get the ones that are usually higher on the branch, right? Birds usually try to stay away from the proximity to humans. And here you see some that are not ripe yet. Just leave those alone. Or even some that are bright red. Those are not ready to be picked or eaten. And also take a look at them, because they might have maybe a little bit of a spider web around them. Don't let that scare you off. Or maybe you have like a small gnat or something around them. Good. You can spend a lot of time eating them. But also try to avoid the ones that you find on the ground for obvious reasons. They probably have been there for a while. They probably have been stepped on or just half eaten or just overly ripe because they've been there for a while. At least when they're on the branch, you can tell that they're ready to be picked just by looking at them. This is a big pastime of mine. Even when you're in a big city, you can look out and see, usually can tell which tree is ready to be picked from when you see the stains on the ground. That will be a clear indicator that these blackberries are ready to be eaten. Or you can always go to Whole Foods or Aldi's, get a small batch that may or may not be sweet for about $6 or $7. And the taste, they're delicious. It goes with everything. And if you need an excuse to be out in nature, well, maybe you want to add these to your diet. Now, unlike a few others, the branches of these blackberry trees don't have thorns on them, right? And usually they'll go unnoticed. For a greater part of the year, until it's time for them to show what they are made of. And what they're made of is something sweet, something strong, and something that can outlast many winters, but be ready in the spring to feed all of those who desire to partake of her delicious fervor, which is the blackberry. Find a new group over here. You can find these on the road. You can find these in a lot of parks. And this is the miracle of nature, of how it provides for the things living on it, the species living on it. Even the ones on the ground can be fed on by ants and other critters and animals that do not climb trees or can't fly. And nature makes room for everything, in that you see that a lot of them are under the leaves, so they're protected from the rain and the wind to an extent. But birds also have to angle themselves, at least the birds that can, to get the ones that are located in an area where they can't easily be reached. I think there's a life lesson there somewhere. How reachable do you want to be? How accessible do you want to be? And how do you share a lot of a good thing? And still keep enough for yourself. Got caught in a spider web there. So this is probably as much attention as any one of these trees is going to get for the whole year, because this period of time goes by fast. In its cycle, you just have to be ready for when these fruit blossom. And just looking, sometimes you look at some of the ones on the bottom, you could tell that a lot of them have already been taken. But sometimes when you look a little higher, you can find the ones that a lot of people missed. Even in graveyards, I'm in a graveyard right now, surrounded by a lot of dead things, but this tree also stands as reference to show that there is a lot of spirit in the living and the continuation of life. Who would have thought about it? Just in the winter, this was just bare. Went through a lot. There's parts of the tree that are chopped off because of wind and even lightning. So there's a clear separation. I don't know if you can see it. Where nature has struck, but it still remains the beautiful, luxurious tree that it is. That's the lesson, is to never give up. Look at that. How many would you say I've eaten by now? Maybe 100? Probably a little less. We'll catch up. You want to be surrounded by good elements? Or you want to be surrounded by things that bring you constant worry and agitation? You want to be surrounded by chaos? Or you want to be surrounded by the harmony, which is the essence of life, even if sometimes it has to be chaotic? Sorry, I didn't mean to get philosophical there, but these are some good berries. Jeez. The higher you look, it doesn't matter how high you place these, there's always a critter or an animal that can get to it. So if you press it, put it at the top, birds can get to it, squirrels can get to them. I would imagine even snakes can get to them. If you leave it low, the rats can get to it, people can get to it, and everything in between, raccoons, groundhogs, whatever needs to be fed. You also notice that all of these fruit have not blossom at the same time. Some blossom at different times than others. So there's some for people that need to eat now, and then you have more unripened ones that will be here when people need to be fed later, if uninterrupted. There's a certain patience to this natural wonder. How patient are you with yourself? Didn't get anything that time. It's part of growing too. Sometimes you don't get anything, or at least what you thought you were going to get. And notice how the tree doesn't say anything, but still makes its point. No one could deny its presence or its usefulness. We got 4 in a row. Got 3 of those. And if you're worried about your hand being stained, you can always carry a towel with you. But you can also stop complaining. There are people who don't get this opportunity. Don't be so quick to complain about things when the blessing is right in front of you. You take so much time complaining about things, don't you think? We spend so much time complaining about things, don't you think? Before the health food store, before your doctor, there was nature. See a groundhog and a squirrel facing each other. And that's for another video. It's funny, sometimes you go to the graveyard and you see, you can almost swear that you're not alone. Like there's a presence there. Sometimes I swear I can see it in videos, and sometimes it's just an illusion. Beautiful day. I mean, it's cloudy and not supposed to technically be a beautiful day, but there's beauty in the sky being overcast. As long as you can breathe, you have an opportunity to do better, eat better, think better, help better, live better, produce better, let go better, be present better. Something got to my ear. What has gotten to your ear this morning? The brevity of this time of year is just beautiful. Oh, there's a little ant on my shoulder. Notice that most critters know what's good for them without being told. You put something synthetic or fake in front of them, and they'll naturally reject it. They don't want any part of that situation. Now, the reason you have to be ready for changes many times is a big wind could come tomorrow, a big storm coming up from the south or the north, and all of these fruits can be blown away just like that. Sometimes you say, well, I'm not going to go out today because I'd rather stay home, watch the news. Well, news is not going to make you feel better about anything. They're going to tell you how different you are from somebody else, why you should be mad, the type of life you should be having, kind of conversation you should be having, but they never ask who you are as a human being, as a person, beyond the flesh and bone and blood that's inside of everybody. Who are you? Who are you when you're not receiving $1 for your opinion? Who are you when you don't have a title by your name? Who are you when you don't have someone dictating what is right and what is wrong? There could be a fear in that. There also can be a peace in that. Not only knowing who you are, but a fear of knowing what you're not. Knowing what you're not is not always a bad thing, in my opinion. Yeah. If you're doing what everyone else is doing, then who are you? You're what someone else needs you to be, or what someone else wants you to do. But it's probably not you. If you made it this far, you probably found something that you're interested in this conversation, in this chat. Moods are meant to go up and down, just like the height of the fruits. You might feel a little down because the weatherman says it's going to be a bad day. Well, it's not up to him, it's up to you. Have you ever acknowledged somebody and then just changed their whole day? What you thought was a mean person all of a sudden became the friendliest person just because you complimented them on something or noticed something about them that people usually don't. And if that person that never gets a compliment is you, well, try complimenting someone else. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. That cashier at the supermarket, that coworker who's wearing something new, I'm gonna keep eating for a while. You could be outside. There's always a lot of people outside when you're outside. If I try not to invade anybody's privacy while I'm recording. I notice a lot of people who stream don't worry about those things, but I grew up in a time when people were always very conscious of who was around them and tried their best not to interfere in a place that was meant to be quiet in. If for no other reason that, well, the same thing that you would like, the same kind of consideration that you would like. How are you doing today? Using a Samsung Galaxy S20 FE. to make this recording. In a way, this is a test. Test for what? Test for how long I could talk without stopping. It's supposed to be 15% battery left, so. I think a lot of people don't talk anymore. I think people, they're saying a lot, but they're not really saying anything. People have a hard time laughing at themselves and other things that are not even about them. Maybe they need more blackberries in their life. But stop concerning yourself with what other people do. You are an individual. You are not a people. You're going to do good things. You're going to do great things. And you're not going to be concerned with what other people are doing. Life is more than your phone. I get it, you need your phone, but life is more than your phone and notifications. Life is what happens while you're looking down at your phone, waiting for life to start. See, a lot of these blackberries you can't even see. It's almost like nature's teaching you, you don't have to be as public. With everything. When it's time for you to be sweet and right, that time will be that time. In other words, don't rush anything. I've eaten about 200 of these already, and this tree is still filled with them. I don't know, the best way to get better at talking is to just start talking. You're not going to get better at anything if you don't do it. People say, how do you become a good speaker? Become a good listener. Also, try to imagine the other person's part in whatever conversation you imagine yourself having. These are delicious. I think these get your mind going. I think that's what natural things do. Not when it's labeled natural, but just when things are really organic. Not just a label that you pay off, so you'll get more people buying your product. Don't just worry about being organic when it comes to your diet, but are you an organic person? The quality of your personality, the quality of self. See another groundhog over there. Groundhogs just stay for a while. They just stand and they stare and soak up the sun, and maybe they're good listeners too, and then they just go. Well, I'm gonna get a few more, but I want to do it off camera. Might have to wash my hands after this, but it's a good way to end the video. See you next time.